And I can put you in. I can put you in. And I can put you in. I can put you in.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the BHLC podcast, which stands for the Big Head Light Skin Comedian Podcast. You see it right in the flesh. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I got another great show for y'all. First and foremost, let me say happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. You see, I got my Santa hat on. Santa bought me a hat here before Christmas, so I had to wear it for y'all to make myself look a little better, make my head a little smaller. But thank you for tuning in. And I love y'all for tuning in because I got another great show for y'all. But first and foremost, I always got to go over a couple things. I got to go over my sponsors. And I definitely got to go over my disclaimer, which is there's no right or wrong on the BHLC podcast. We just here expressing our opinion about things. There's no right or wrong. So that's my disclaimer. So don't try to sue me. So with that also said, let me say this too. If you want to see the Big HLC podcast or listen to it sometime on different streaming platforms, I'm on Spotify. I'm on Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Anchor, YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, BHLC Podcast. And also, nothing else, I ask you as a friend, Big Head Light Skin Comic LB on Facebook. And right now it's live. So if you're looking at it on YouTube right now, hit that like button. You hit that subscribe. Well, if you hit subscribe, if you're looking at it, you already subscribed. So hit that like button, though. My sponsors, first and foremost, I give love to my dentist, Dr. Kane, at the Smile Center, 7405 New LaGrange Road here in Louisville, Kentucky. Keeps my teeth tight. Well, I still got one missing, but we're still working on that. Hopefully by New Year I have that. Also, too, give much love to All Good Computers on Preston Highway here in Louisville. I think it's 811. They keep my computer tight so I can keep on smiling for y'all. And also, too, I want to talk about I'm right down here at the 21st Germantown. And it's a great spot here in Louisville, Kentucky. Y'all need to come down here because tonight they got Kentucky Music Mafia as the headliner. And then they got Drex as the opening act. And they come on at 8 o'clock. And then they got Keith Whitley. He comes on at 9 o'clock. He's the feature act. And Kentucky Music Mafia is the headliner. It's $15 with cash only. We don't do plastic. Got to have it cash. And so y'all come down here. Also, too, I want to say this, too. I got a show I'm putting on here February 11th here at 21st Germantown, here at 1481 South Shelby Street, called For the Love of Comedy 2. I got some killer comedians for you. You're going to really enjoy it. You're going to have a good time. You're going to have the food. The food down here is not high. The drinks are not that high. You're going to have a good time and laugh. And the tickets ain't that high neither. Especially get your advance tickets. I'm telling you, if you don't get your advance tickets, it's going to sell out. Now, with all this said, like I said, great show for y'all. And one more thing, I got to go over this. She brought much love to this 21st Germantown. Make sure you come out on December the 18th and support Angela Graham's Memorial Show here at 21st Germantown. It's at 5 o'clock on December the 18th. Angela Graham's Memorial Show. They're doing this for her and for her family, and just much love and support because she brought a lot of love and support to this club, and a lot of people love her. So make sure you support the Angela Graham's Memorial Show. It's on my page, and check it out, and make sure you put that you're coming or whatever. Even if you ain't coming, put you that you're interested. Just make it look good. But make sure you come support that. Now that I've got a lot of that out of the way, I just want to go over this with you. Have you ever just sit there and thought about here in America how kids are being sex slaves? How some kids just mentally depressed. How kids sometimes get lost in the world just trying to figure out where they need to go, especially if they don't have no parenting or guidance. Well, I might be able to help you a little bit tonight. My guest tonight, I'm just so happy to have her as my guest. She represents ECHO. She's the coordinator for ECHO, which is Exploiting Children Help Organization. And it's real big here in Louisville. I can't explain too much of it because I don't know a whole lot about it. And that's why I'm so glad to have her on here, because she's going to be able to explain a lot of things to you all. And if you got any questions, please comment. You know I love your comments on here, even though some of y'all touch like me with your comments. But please comment, ask questions, because I'm going to ask her a couple questions about certain situations. And it's about helping our kids because they are the future. and we got to make sure that we take care of them first and foremost. Even if you're not my child and I see you somewhere, and I know that something wrong is going down wrong, I'm gonna help that child because that's somebody's child, okay? Because they belong to somebody. They belong to somebody. So, with that said, let me give her a big BHLC, and y'all give her a big BHLC podcast love too. Y'all give it up for my guest, and she's the coordinator for Echo, the one and only Ariel Powell. Give it up for her. I'm going to turn it on to her.
Good evening.
She's right here next to the light-skinned Santa Claus. Yeah, so thank you for being part of this podcast. I'm just so glad to have you on my podcast here. I know a lot of people got a lot of questions about Echo. Let me put that on here too, the banner for Echo, so people understand what we talking about here tonight, because it's really, she's the coordinator. I'm gonna let her explain to it because I don't know a whole lot about this, but I'm about ready to get educated. Go ahead.
All right. So ECHO is Exploited Children Help Organization, and our mission is to prevent child abuse. And we do that by providing education, advocacy, and support services to the children and families of Metro Louisville. We started based off the mission of Ann Gottlieb, which happened on June 1st, 1983. She went missing from Bachelor Manor Mall, and she was still to this day, her remains have never been found. So the community of people around them started ECHO in hopes to help children that have been missing, exploited, or abused in our community.
See, I even got the brochure. I ain't playing, y'all. Look, so yes, I ain't playing. So let me ask you some questions here, because a lot of people don't know the signs and symptoms. What are signs and symptoms of, like, let's say a child that's about ready to go into sex slave or maybe close to sex slave? What's some signs and symptoms a person can be looking for, a human being can be looking for on a young lady or young man?
Yep. So we all grew up with stranger danger, right? You grew up with stranger
danger?
Oh,
yeah.
We don't teach stranger danger at ECHO because what we know is that 90% of the time when a child is abused, they're abused by someone that they know and trust.
Right.
Of that 90%, 30% that's going to be a close family member or friend. So when we talk about trafficking, in order for somebody to get close to a child, they're going to groom them, right? So if you start seeing a child, whether it's somebody in your family, whether it's your own child coming up with new shoes, new phones, they're being secretive about what's going on in their phone, or they're leaving and they're not doing some of the things that they used to love to do. Another really big thing that people kind of like overlook when it comes to even abused or exploited is the overachiever. Right, we want our children to be great. We want them to overachieve. But sometimes when a child has been abused or exploited or in any other way, they'll overachieve to kind of hide that pain of something that's going on. And I feel like that's one big thing for me that goes under the radar a lot of the time is that, oh, my child's doing great, there can't possibly be something going on. Or if we got our younger kids and they're showing up with bruising, especially when we talk about child abuse, neglect is the number one. There's 4 different types of child abuse, which would be physical, neglect, emotional, and sexual abuse. Neglect is very prominent in Kentucky, in Louisville in itself, when we think about the opioid epidemic and things that are going on. And it's really hard to see because it's not a physical thing. But if we're working with children, we see children with bruising, or they're wetting the bed, or they're overachievers, or if they're losing interest in the things that they used to do, or if their grades start failing. That's a good indication that something might be going on with that baby.
And that's big because a lot of times, as parents, sometimes we get caught up in our own life, being busy between work and everything, and we might not see them signs and symptoms, even though we know our child. That's like I think this is one of the biggest ones. So I want to ask you. I know the sex slavery is real big here in America, and I'm sure it's a high percentage of kids that are on sex slaves in the United States. But I like to really know, as far as I know y'all deal with mental depression too with the kids a little bit.
Well, what our job is we are advocates for the children. So what we do is we go inside the classroom. There's no nonprofit really in Louisville that's like us. So we partner with public and private school and really any youth serving organization. And we come in and we educate and empower the children on body safety, which would be like child abuse, and digital safety, which would be like digital abuse. And that's where you see like a lot of the trafficking and people trying to be groomed and stuff like that. And then when I'm in the classroom, we go off of a curriculum called the Monique Berg Foundation. It's specifically on child abuse prevention. And we break it down for physical, emotional, sexual, and neglect with the kids.
Right.
And we talk about human trafficking. We talk about being able to spot the red flags. One of the things I teach them is 5 safety rules. Safety rule number 1 is to know what's up. Is we know our personal information. We know what to do in case of emergency. And for our little babies, we know our parent and our guardian's personal information in case we get lost.
Right.
And then safety rule number 2 is to be able to spot red flags. Well, red flags are going to be warning signs that something's not right. That this situation is unsafe. This person's unsafe.
Right.
I tell my kids in the class to trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, a lot of times isn't right.
6 Sense.
Right, exactly. And then safety rule number 3 is to make a move, which teaches children to get away and stay away from unsafe situations. Or physically making a move. If somebody's trying to get you, drop to the ground, scream, yell, do something to cause awareness that something is wrong.
Exactly.
Safety rule number 4 is to talk it up, which teaches them that even though, like, a lot of times when children are abused, it's hard to talk about that, and because 90% of the time it's going to be somebody that they love, if they're like, oh, I don't want to tell on this person because maybe what they're doing isn't wrong, and maybe, this is just normal life, and it's not. So we teach them to talk it up to your safe adult, and not all adults are safe. Right. We don't use trusted adults. We're trying to get away from that narrative because, again, 90% of the time when a child is abused, they trust that person, right? Our coach, a neighbor, a dad, our own parents sometimes. And then safety rule number 5 is called no blame, no shame, which teaches children that if something wants to happen to you, you're compromised in any way, somebody tries to get at you through the internet, or you see something inappropriate that somebody has sent you, it's not your fault. And don't blame yourself, and do not feel ashamed if you have to report somebody if they've done something to harm you.
Right. I've always seen these at certain places, and I guess they still got them. You remember how they had the safe zone signs? I guess they still got them. Yeah, and
like a safe place.
The safe place. I always wonder about it because not only it's for kids as well as adults. A safe place if you feel like you're in danger about somebody that's trying to do something to harm you or whatever. So I've always felt like that was a good thing too. So they need to be aware of that too. Make sure you go to a safe zone place if you are in danger. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Another thing I want to ask you too, like I know we're talking about mental, but I know when we say kids we're talking about the kids, but also too, I've seen on this brochure, also too, it's talking about, it's not only just the kids, it's also athletes. You got athletes who are sometimes suicidal or maybe taken even into sex slaves. Maybe we can go into that a little bit too.
And it goes into being able to get close to that child, right? So when we think about sports, right, sometimes there's time, or sports or any type of extracurricular, right? Maybe that's sports, maybe it's drama, chess, whatever the case may be, where you're one-on-one with an adult, that's a really good opportunity for somebody to groom you, right? And it's a really good opportunity for somebody to get, to trust that person, or for somebody to tell you what I'm doing is right, and if you tell somebody, nobody's gonna believe you. And you're going to get in trouble. And that's a lot of, like, when I hear stories from these kids, is I didn't know that it was wrong, Ariel. Like, they tell me, I didn't know what my stepbrother or my dad or my uncle or my neighbor was doing to me was not okay. And a lot of times, a child that has been abused, especially let's talk about sexually, right? They are more likely to be sexually abused again. Because they're afraid to tell. It usually takes a child 1 to 4 years to expose any type of abuse. And then I come into the classroom and I teach them and I let them know I'm a safe place, I'm a safe adult, and I advocate for these kids. And it goes across the board, east to west, south end. I work all over Louisville, all JCPS. So, and one thing about child abuse, it's not prejudice, it's not racist, it's not classist, it's not socialist, it's not any of those things. Because anybody can be abused, right?
That's true.
But when we talk about trauma never leaves our body, right? So unless this child is able to disclose abuse, whatever the case may be, they're going to continue to live with that. And that's called what is called toxic stress. And it actually affects your brain. It affects the frontal cortex of your brain, which is the front part of your decision making, your emotions, those parts. And it's what we call adverse childhood experiences. And there's a test that you can do, and the highest test you can get, or the highest score on an ACE test, is a 10. And 10, that means you're probably going to have some health issues throughout your life, heart disease, diabetes, like all these things that what toxic stress causes. Because one thing that we have learned about trauma is it never leaves your body. When you hear people go through therapy and they're like, I had to work through my trauma, that's exactly what they mean. I have to work through it. I have to be able to release it and talk to somebody that's the same place.
So, too, So with that said, with that said, on what you just talking about, which is a lot of great information for everybody to know about, because they need to know all this, because you have a lot of kids out here around, and I like what you're saying, because it starts really mentally before all that. Everything's mental. Totally everything. It starts mentally, and then it takes over physically. So the main thing is try to always never be scared to talk to a safe adult. It's the main thing more than anything.
That is huge. And we have to let these kids know that we are a safe adult.
Right.
You can talk to me, whatever you say to me, one, I'm going to believe you. Right? And if you have any children, I tell them to have at least 2 to 3 safe adults in your life. Because if that first person doesn't believe you, guess what? I'm going to go to that next person. I'm going to keep talking up. Safety rule number 4, to talk it up, right? I'm going to keep talking it up until somebody hears me, and that's my job, is to advocate for that. Like, we're going to keep talking about it. I would love to be able to reach all these babies at JCPS, but I'm one person. And Echo's a team of 2. We have the executive director, and then we have myself. And she has to handle the business side of it, and I have to handle the kids side of it. And so we can only do so much. So letting these kids know that you are a safe adult. You're not going to do anything to compromise their safety. You're not going to do anything to hurt them. And that's important. And they want for somebody to listen to them.
Exactly.
A lot, especially my middle schoolers, right?
I'm sure.
And I work with a lot of bullying and cyberbullying. And sometimes they just want somebody to hear them. And unbiased opinion. They didn't know me until a week ago, and then they're telling me all this. But I gave them a safe place to do that. For one, I believe you. For 2, I'm not going to take over this conversation. Whatever you got to tell me. For one, it's between you and I, unless you are being harmed or you're harming somebody else.
That's right.
And I let them know that. And I feel like that's why I'm really effective at my job, is because I let them know that you can trust me. I'm good. Like, we're good. I'm not going to call home because you told me something that happened. Let's keep it real. Let's talk about it.
That's right.
And I've had really good success with these kids. I see them out in the community, and they're like, "Hey, Miss Ariel," and it's a great feeling. Especially coming from a childhood, not to get too personal about myself, but I went through trauma. I was never abused as a child or anything like that, but I have been through trauma. My sister was killed when she was 16 years old, and that's kind of what fuels my passion to do this, because she was a baby. We think about it, 16. We're grown now. Like, we're babies at 16.
Right.
So it fuels me in these kids and the success stories that I get.
I can tell by the way you animate, the way you talk, how you have such a heartfelt place in your heart for what you're doing, and with Echo and for these kids. I can just tell by the way you're talking. And I'm sure they love listening to you. You listen to them and you listen to them, because just by the way you talk to them, I'm sure in that classroom, they're like, "Oh, Lord, I'm ready to go talk to her. I got to let her know, whether they're going through something or not. I just got to talk to her." Because like you said, most kids just want to vent and want an extra ear to listen to. Some kids don't have that the extra ear to listen, for somebody to listen to them, and even let alone you have a safe adult. So, and I think, like you said, a lot of them, if they are being sexually messed with, they are scared because of what their abuser has told them. And for Echo, this is big, because it gives them somebody that they can go to and help them out, and get away from it.
Yeah, and we don't do casework or anything. Like, we're true advocates, right? We're trainers and educators.
That's great.
So we'll work with the school. Like, I work with the school directly. If a child is being abused in any type of way, I'm going to work with the school counselor, the mental health practitioner, the family youth services coordinator, and they're going to provide those resources. We don't provide them. We're just here to advocate, but we're going to get you the help that you need. We're going to talk to the right people, even though it might be hard. You've already disclosed to me what's going on. So the hard part's over. And now you just got to work through that trauma to make it so that we can have a good future in front of us. Right.
See, that's important, because a child needs somebody, like I said, a safe adult to go to if they're going through these type of things right here. And Echo, this is a great advocate program. It really is, which I wasn't aware of. And I think it was saying on the history, it really kind of started when Ann Gottlieb, that was back in 1983, June 1st, 1983. That kind of really got started.
Yep. So Echo's coming up in our 40 years, right? So we were created with the missing of Ann Gottlieb, which was a Russian immigrant that went missing from Bachelor Manor Mall, June 1st, 1983. And so she was never found. Still to this day, her remains have not been found. Up until very shortly, a person of interest has been indicated for that, but the only thing ever found from this little girl was her body. And that scared, Louisville's not a very big community. It's like a big old town,
It is one big small
it scared
town.
the community of people. And like, there's people out here that will really hurt your children. Back in the day, it was stranger danger. We're looking for somebody in a white van that's going to come get us. And once it's a kid, that's not how it goes.
Right.
Great. Are there people that will snatch your children?
Yes.
Yes.
We always thinking a white van, but it don't mean it's going to be a white
It's
van.
not going to be a white van.
Right.
It's not going to be any of those. Nobody's going to ask you to find candy. But what I teach the children is adults should not be asking you to come to their cars. Adults should not be asking you to find a lost dog or a child.
Right.
And if you get lost, an adult should not try to take you. They should go find somebody that's able to help you and let you stay where you are. Because if your parents come back, say we're at Kentucky Kingdom, and I'm playing with the games, and my kid's gone.
Okay.
So I teach the children, let's find somebody either in a uniform, a police officer, a fireman, or look for a group of adults that are with children. Right. But don't leave where you are because your adult might try to come back and find you. An adult that's going to try to take you that might not be safe. Like, let me take you with me. No, we're not doing that. Don't go with them.
Don't go with them, right.
And I really instill this in these kids. Like, I wish that we lived in a world where we could trust everybody, but we can't. And that's just reality in 2023, right? And they look at me and they'll be like, okay, who are our safe adults? Well, we have to identify those.
Right.
What does that look like? I asked them, do you get told not to talk to strangers? And they're like, yeah. But how many of your family members or your mom is in the grocery store talking to everybody? And,
right.
So we know it's okay to be polite, and we know it's okay to be nice and, be nice to people. But we shouldn't be going with people that we don't know. We should be giving their personal information, especially with technology, right?
Oh, yeah.
We live in a digital world. These babies now are what we call digital citizens.
Right.
We're digital immigrants, right? Because we didn't grow up with this. We had dial-up. We had to write notes to each other. All that. But these kids, we can't take this away. We can't take this phone away from them. This is the world. This is how they've been learning.
Exactly.
And when we talk about digital detox, there's got to be a time we can dial it back a little bit. But to take a phone from a child, that's trauma.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's traumatic.
They love their phones.
I mean, it's like a discipline. You got kids. I'm taking that phone or that game.
Exactly.
But in reality, that's their life. That's how they grew up. We have to teach them how to do it in a correct way, a safe way.
Right.
We're not giving out our personal information on the internet.
Right.
Nobody should be asking for that.
Okay.
We should not be meeting up with people that we meet online. That is so dangerous. That's when we come into human trafficking. And it's huge. And there's actually people out here on the internet that are grooming these children to hurt them, to exploit them, to sex traffic them, to labor traffic them, to human traffic. We talk about human, sex trafficking. That's not where it ends. We got labor trafficking, we got just human trafficking, babies being sold, and all those things. And it's scary, but if we don't give our children the tools on how to do this correctly and safely, how do we expect them to?
Right.
So that's what we do. We teach them. We got to educate them. And that's my job. Is I come in here, we gonna talk about it, and we have a lot of fun in the classroom. We have a ball.
Sure
they're like she's crazy.
By the way you talk, your heart's into it heavily. That's great. And they need more people like you. I can tell your heart's into it. But that's good that you talk about it. That's why that's why I got you on this platform. And I want people to ask questions because there are parents out there right now wondering what their child's thinking. Are they talking to me enough? Is something going on with them or whatever, And you sit there giving them a lot of information right now to where they can help them out. A lot of times we live in a time now, like you said, with internet, cell phone, where we don't communicate face to face or to a person like we should, like we do our cell phone. If we was to communicate face to face like we do with our cell phone all the time, we're different America. I tell people all the time,
I agree 100%.
Especially our kids, because our kids live and die by that cell phone, and they should. And I'm good to say something about the internet because that's real big. A lot of the predators are exploiting children on the internet.
They are.
I've watched a lot of different shows where. It's one guy, he had this young lady where she made her take off her clothes and then said if she said anything, he was going to put it on the internet and that type of stuff.
It's called sextortion. That's what it's called. It's called sextortion. And we need to teach our kids that we shouldn't be sending pictures of ourselves with our clothes on. For one, it's illegal in the state of Kentucky. At the age of 12, you could be charged with child pornography and be put on the sex offender registry for sending an inappropriate picture of yourself to your girlfriend, right? It seems innocent.
Right.
But then I asked him, do you know that that's the last place it's going to go? We live in a room with a world of screenshots. We can save a photo.
That's right.
And then you get extorted more.
And you're right.
And it's illegal, and I really drill this into my younger kids, not middle schoolers, right? But they're like, I might get a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, and I'm gonna send a picture of myself. It's illegal, and you can be prosecuted and be charged with a felony at the age of 12 in the state of Kentucky, and then be on the sex registry for the rest of your life, because that's considered child pornography. And then if you send it, to other people, I mean, and they're looking at me like, and I can see, I'm in the classroom and I see boys and girls' face, and they're like,
Astonished. Like,
oh,
wow,
like I didn't even know. But
Right.
it's that serious,
It is.
you know?
It is, yeah.
And it's really to protect yourself. But the mistake that you make at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old can affect you for the rest of your life.
Sure can.
You know?
And it's when you tell them, and it's because a lot of them wasn't educated on what you tell them. And then when they do find out, they're astonished. But now that they know, they can watch out for that, because a lot of times they don't even know. They think everything's fine if it's guys sending them a picture or girls sending them. No, that's not fine for them to be sending them naked pictures.
And a lot of time when people are asking for those pictures, say it's through the internet, they have files of other girls, boys. You know, a lot of times I think it misconstrued that girls are the only ones that can be victims.
Hold on.
It's not.
It's guys,
you know,
young
actually
men,
1 in
too.
4 boys could be sexually abused by the time that they're 18.
Wow.
And
See,
a lot
they
of
know that.
times people are like, boys can't be, you know, yes, they can. And we need to change that narrative, because that's what makes these young men that are afraid to say something, because who's going to believe me that I was sexually abused? You know?
I get that.
I'm going to.
Right.
That's I'm going to. I'm going to believe you when you tell me this. And I'm going to do what I can to help you.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's another thing we need to bring awareness to. That's not just the girls that it happens to. It happens to these boys too.
Yeah, because I was talking to somebody at my job. I think I ain't correct on the percentage, but I was thinking the number in the United States was something like 11 or 12% of most teens or whatever be sex slaves, somewhere around there. And that is very big in the United States.
Huge. And we got to think about Louisville in itself.
It's
We're like a
dark.
hub.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a dark. I'm going to say this to you. Do you feel like it's like, I don't want to say it's taboo, but like people don't even think about it because it's such a dark thing. Even though it's out there, but I feel like it still need to be more light shined on it, because, like I said, our kids are our future.
Absolutely.
And we got to we got to do better as adults to get these predators and people that are doing wrong to the kids. Definitely get them handled first and foremost, because they are our future, and we want every child to have a chance in life to be something. And if they wrapped up in this, somebody got their man mentally where they can't say that, they're scared to say something. That's not good.
Right. And that's what we need to be able to talk to our kids.
Right.
Like, I feel like, I don't know where it happened, but we quit talking to our kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And we need to have those conversations with our children. We are still the parent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're still the parent.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
But it's easy for them to give them a phone and then take that phone away when they're being bad or something like that. But why are we having these behaviors? We need to be able to have that open dialogue with our children. Give them that safe place to talk to me. Like, okay, my child's grades are slipping. Well, that doesn't just happen. Right? You don't go from an A student to being a D student overnight because you just decide you don't want to do the work.
Right.
Something has happened to my baby.
That's right.
We have to have these conversations. We have to let them know it's safe. We have to ask the right questions.
Right.
You know, is there something going on in school? Is there something going on online?
Yeah.
Cyberbullying's huge.
It is.
When we were younger,
I want to ask you a question about
when we were younger, we go to school, we might be bullied a little bit, but we get to go home and we don't have to deal with it. These kids, it's at the palm of their hand, and they can't get away from it. Teen suicide, all-time high. Well, let's think about it. People are being cyberbullied. They don't have nowhere to go. You know, there's children. I've had cases where there's actually other children giving other children ideas on how to kill themselves. Cyberbullying, and they don't understand the severity of that.
Oh my God, yeah. See, it's like now, you said something hit home with me as a parent. When my kids were young, but my kids are older now, they're over 18. When they was younger, I used to check their phones once a week.
Yeah.
That's what parents should do, but I don't know how many parents do it. It's just me as a parent. But parents should check their kids' phone, because if there's anything going on vital in their little life, it'll be through their technology phone.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
That's why I said parents need to check their phone at least once, twice a week. Don't be too busy, parents, in your life where you don't check your child's phone. You know, you have to check their phone to find out how they feeling and what they're going through in their life. You don't want them to be lashing out to somebody that it's not even related to them over you. And that's how a lot of us get started. I got a couple comments here. I mean, because that's how a lot of it gets started. It really does. You know, happy holidays to you too, Bubba. Appreciate that. Bubba, I appreciate that. But I just know that that's how a lot of it gets started. It's through their phone. And a lot of times, parents, we don't check our kids' phone. So I don't know why. I feel like if you on your phone as a parent, don't you think you should check your child's phone?
Right.
You know, especially if they act in some type of way too, and you know it. You know, it's usually in their phone.
And we have to remember that we are the parents. You know, we are the, you know, and especially if we're good parents and we're safe adults and all those things, like, believe it or not, children want you to check up on them. They might not like it at the time, but they'll be like, at least they know you care, you know? And we have to check our phones. Something that could happen over the weekend can transpire until we're going to school on Monday. Now there's fights happening and all that. What the school has to do is they have to go investigate on social media, because a lot of times that's where it happens. And we're bullying each other or saying mean, hurtful things to each other, not knowing the weight that can carry to the person that's receiving.
Right.
And it's scary.
It is scary.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, especially with my middle school kids, I talk a lot about with is we got to be kind to each other. We talk about being an upstander, right? We see somebody being bullied. Instead of joining in or ignoring it, let's stand up for them.
Thank you.
That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to confront the bully, right? We can go get a safe adult, or we can befriend this person that's being bullied, give them a safety net of friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right on it. But that's nothing. Let me go back to the phone. That's like, now, for what it's worth, I seen this on TV where these two guys was about ready to fight, but they didn't fight, and everybody was videoing it. This guy pulled over in his car, got out, older guy, adult guy, and talked to both of the kids. This is when they was younger, okay? And told them both they shouldn't be doing this. And he told the ones that was videoing, he said, y'all just as wrong as they are. He said, because y'all should be helping them not fight instead of videoing.
They're called bystanders.
Thank you. And that's what and to this day, them kids like 12, 13, they older now, 21. And to this day, both of them kids doing great things.
Yeah.
But that's what we got to stop. We got to stop. The people that are videoing, y'all need to stop videoing, and y'all need to help these kids if you see kids doing wrong. Like I said,
absolutely. And we need to let them know that you can be just as much trouble for recording that fight as the person that is fighting when it comes to the school system. Why didn't you do anything about it? First of all, why you got your phone out? Because you ain't supposed to have your phone at school, no way. Right, exactly. And then why are you not doing anything to help? Why was an adult not here present? Why didn't we go get somebody? You can get in just as much trouble for being a bystander as being the person that's actually doing the bullying or the fighting or something like that.
But you better, that's like my neighbor. I never forget this some years ago, about 5-10 years ago. My neighbor had a basketball court in his back in his driveway and everything. And he told the kids they can play basketball as long as he was home. So I come home one day and he wasn't there, and they all back there playing. Now let me say this. I'm one of them parents. I'm not scared to say that to the kids. You know what the kids think, whatever they doing, I'm not scared to say that to them. And I knew he wasn't home, so I said something to him. I said, did he tell y'all could not play back here unless he was home? Like, yes, Mr. Brown. I said, well, y'all need to go. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? Now, as a parent, if I just let that go, they could have messed up somebody's house, or a fight could have broken out anything. So, but I stepped up and said something. So, as parents, we got to step up and say something to these kids. You know, you got to say more. So. And this is real big. This echo is real big. It is, and we just got to do better with this. So, we've covered so much. We have, and I just want people to be aware of what's going on out here with the kids, with our kids. Like I said, in the future, and we got to help them. And a lot of times, kids just most times they just want somebody, a safe adult to talk to. And if you that safe adult, talk to the child. That's like kind of like. I tell people, you'd be surprised how much even though I hate to say a text will help a person. If you text them every day, say, hey, how you doing? Just checking up on you. Because that person might be thinking about doing suicide.
Right, so, you're absolutely right.
So that's big. You know, in the same way to a child, you know, if you're that safe adult, check up on your child or check up on somebody else's child. If you're a safe adult, say, just want to make sure you're all right and everything. Because that goes big.
It is.
It really is.
And kids, they take it real big too. You know, and we also with Echo, we offer adult programs too. Okay. Our adult program, we have one that's called Everyone Has a Role: How to Recognize, React, and Report Child Abuse. A lot of people don't know this. Kentucky is a mandated reporting state. If you are over the age of 18 and you see something happening, you are to say something. You are to report. You can make an anonymous report. You can tell them who you are. But if you are you are an adult, 18 in the state of Kentucky, and you see somebody being abused or you know somebody being abused, you are to say something by law. We're mandated reporters.
Sure.
And then so we have, Everyone Has a Role, which is how to recognize, react, and report child abuse. We have another one, Cyber Safety 101, which is more like a presentation teaching adults and parents on the things to look about on the internet. These are the things that the kids are doing. We get this from the kids in the classroom. We're not just pulling it out of a hat.
I know you hear it
and they're telling me the most, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys are really out here doing it. Yeah. And then we have Darkness to Light Stewards of Children, which is it's a certified. You get like a certificate when you go through this training. It's all about child sexual abuse and recognizing the signs of that. That is huge. And that's been going on for generations and generations and generations.
Great.
And we used to live in the time, I grew up in the time where what happens in this house stays in this house.
Right.
Now we got to change that
Right.
because that can really hinder children. That can really affect them. Like if they're being sexually, any type of abuse.
Any type of abuse, right. Any type, right. You right on.
Right. So we have to let them know that it's safe to talk to people and it's safe to speak up when something has happened to you. And I tell the kids in the classroom, I've had lots of children disclose abuse.
Right.
Just to give you some numbers, last year between February and May, I educated 3,600 children by myself.
Wow.
I had 10% disclosures of abuse. So 300 children disclosed some type of abuse, whether it's bullying, sexual abuse, neglect, emotional abuse. 300 children in 3 months. So just imagine if we had more people like me, we get the funding and or have more people like me.
Right.
I can only reach so many kids. I'm only one person, but
resources.
and we need those resources, and we need, our communities to understand. We need to let these kids know that these things aren't right and this is wrong, but it's okay to talk about it.
Yes. That's like I got a friend that he put on her TikTok. I see what you're saying, Greg. Bubba. TikTok is a big issue for my 14-year-old, man. She's going through a depression because sometimes her friends get more likes than her on the same exact dance they all did.
I know.
See what I'm saying?
And that's one thing that we see. Like these kids, they're living for these likes. That it really affects them mentally. Their mental health. Like, why is my friend get more likes than me? Like this is reality for them. This is their life. Perception's reality when we're thinking about it.
They think people don't like me.
Right. You don't like me, so now I'm gonna feel bad about myself when you don't even know these people.
Exactly.
So why does it matter? But the way that their brain is made up and the way that they think that's their reality.
Right.
Their digital platforms, their social media, that's their life a lot of times. Yeah. But what we're seeing, there's a lot of children that are lacking interpersonal skills. They can't have a conversation unless it's a text message. You think about all these games that our kids play, they're killing people all the time.
Yep,
lack of empathy. Right. They don't have that empathy where they're like, in real life, you can't really go shoot somebody and they're going to come back the next day. That's not how it works. I have one of my best friends, her daughter cut her hair. And she was like, upset because the next day it didn't grow back, and she was like, "Baby, that's not real life." And we have to be able to break virtual reality between real reality because they're two completely different things. Yeah, it is. And it really affects our kids.
It does.
And when we come to depression and when we talk about mental health issues with our kids, it's big. And so it goes back to they're not getting enough likes. Your friend Greg. Yeah, and I see that a lot. I'm not getting all these likes. My grades are failing. I'm shying away from the things I like to do. Right. I tell my kids, go play outside. Like, go be a child.
That's where it used to be.
Right. Like, you had to be outside in my house. You couldn't come here.
6, 7 o'clock. Right. Stay outside. I don't want to see you.
Right. Absolutely.
But is that because of the danger of the thing? Is it because they're scared of letting the kids play outside because of the way the environment is now? Or is it just a parent?
I think it might be a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're fearful because, all right, so my boss, Miss Sonia Gray, the executive director of ECHO, wonderful, phenomenal leader, love her to pieces. Okay. She always brings it to this. She goes, I watch the news one time a day because it's a lot. We get vicarious trauma doing the type of work that we do.
I don't do once,
but back in the day when we were coming up, come 12 o'clock, the national anthem came up, the fuzzy screen came on. Now it's at their hands, and we're hearing about the world news. We're hearing about it is all bad, and it's trauma. We talk about environmental trauma, vicarious trauma, primary trauma, like where it's actually happening. But we don't think about it when we turn on the news. We're hearing about stuff that happened in 1990. We couldn't. You got to get a newspaper from another city to know what's going on. But it's at the palm of our hands, and it affects us. And it's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. It's like a catch-22, a double-edged sword, And we all want to help and do what we can, but then we get consumed with it. Right. Instead of being like, let me just watch the news one day and let me soak that all in. No, I'm watching every time I turn it on, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, it's everywhere. Right. And it's all bad. It's all trauma, and we can't get away from it.
No, we can't. I think a lot of times, too, down the road, it will affect that child, them not be able to communicate face to face with a human being versus communicate mostly with their cell phone.
Yep.
And we done got away from that. As our parents, even though these kids got cell phones, you still have to physically communicate with them and do a lot with them in order for them to be able to communicate when they go out to a job or when they go out to socialize, just to be somewhere. a lot of times, like you said, a lot of these kids don't even have social skills because of technology.
A lot.
And then they wonder why our kids are suffering on certain things, adapting to certain things. Well, parents, you got to do better for us communicating with them and being doing things with them, taking away from technology more. I got a thing in my house, ain't no cell phones at my dinner table when we eat dinner. At one time back in the days when everybody at dinner with no cell phones. My table still like when I eat at the table, I don't want to see no cell phones. I'm off the table. Let's get the story.
Yep.
I'm at the table, especially dinner time, no cell phone.
I mean, there has to be a balance, right? Because we can't take it from them. They have to have it for school. When we think about, we're just talking about cell phones, we're talking about digital devices itself, right? Our children went into NTI. They went through a global pandemic, and they had to use their electronics for school. They had to have it. So we have to teach them how to do it appropriately. Right. Screen time. So maybe we're gonna do it 30 minutes. You're playing the game. Right. Let's go play. Shoot the basketball or go outside, go for a walk, get some fresh air. Do something. Right. What we would call normal, right? But their normal are these phones. Their normal is them games, that virtual world, and it's really affecting the way that they communicate with other people and the way that they have relationships.
Yeah, sure is. See, but you're right though. We can't stop it because this technology is here. It's here to stay. I get that. So we got to embrace it and use it to the right way and to the best of our knowledge as parents. But it don't have to be the total 100% takeover.
Right.
I understand what you're saying because it's not going nowhere. We have to utilize it. And kids have to utilize it. I get that. But at some point, you still got to have natural human skills besides technology.
Yeah.
Especially for our kids, because you don't want them to just completely be strictly dependent on technology. Right. You got to have some type of communication skills, other skills. I mean, you got to have some skills.
Yeah, you have to.
Social skills.
To get social skills is exactly what it is. Yeah. And that's where we see a lot of the children, they have no idea what to say in an interview. They have no idea how to have a real conversation face to face with people. Because all they got to do is send a text. I'll ask my kids, in the classroom when I'm with them, I said, when was the last time y'all actually picked up the phone and had a conversation with you? Raise your hand if in the last 5 days you picked your phone up and had a phone call. You maybe 10, 12 of them. Like, when's the last time you sent a text? Hey, raise your hand if you sent a text this morning before you even got out of the bed to go to the bathroom and brush your teeth. All of the kids in the classroom.
See?
And that's the reality that we live in. And as parents, I'm a parent too. I have two small children. I got a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old. Okay. And one thing I always, I'm big on, like, you can talk to me.
Right.
If you come to me and we talk, I'm not gonna get mad. I mean, I got a son and a daughter, so y'all beating up on each other, then y'all gonna get mad, But if you want to have a conversation, we can talk about anything. And we need to let our kids know that.
Right.
We are that love. That's part of being a parent. And now sometimes, with these younger babies, we'll just give them a tablet and shut them up.
Yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be.
No, it's not the answer. Not the solution.
I give my child a tablet when they were younger. Here, I'm trying to get the dishes done. But that can't be our babysitter. They can't parent our children. Because that's why we're doing something that we're doing right now.
You're right. Bubba said support stuff. He said, going to harm. He said, she's asked her if she ever heard of swatting in the gaming world. It's where you streaming, someone else calls the police, it sends them to a kid's house for saying they are dangerous or vice versa. I've heard of it, Bubba.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Heard of
I've heard of that squad, yeah. They're going to harm themselves. Mm-hmm. And then he says the parents get a SWAT team banging on the door, sleeping in the kids in the room, gaming, fighting online. Then we got talking about the cell phone set. We got Nicole. I've heard of SWAT bang, and it's big. I've seen it. I'm like, so that's the world we live in. And you can get locked up and do time for that. I've seen that too on a lot of shows.
False reporting.
False reporting, yeah. Because you sitting there wasting government officials' time on this SWAT thing. And it's not good. And you think it's a video game, you think it's fun, you and your friends doing it. No, it's not fun. Because somebody's gonna get in trouble and you got the police going somewhere, but they don't need to be able, they can take care of some business they need to take care of. And a lot of these kids just think it's, like I said, they think it's a game. So
and that's where we come into like this reality of, it ain't no big deal. No, but it is. And they're not understanding that because they don't have those type of skills. And it's not a fault. It's just the society, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
You're not at fault because you give your child a cell phone at 5 years old. Everybody does it. You know, I'm not telling you are a bad parent or anything like that. That's the world we live in. We have to teach them how to do this appropriately. And the risks that can happen if you don't.
Yeah, the risks there.
Right.
And it's like, but if you think about the video games, now it says on there, if you're under 18, parents split select, well, they put their label on to protect themselves in video game. I get that, I understand that. But at the end of the day, like I just said before, it's the parent who's got to understand, okay, if he's 6 years old, what's he doing with a Call of Duty game?
Exactly.
Real violent game like Grand Theft Auto. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing?
100%.
But that's the parent. The parent can't allow this. The parents allow this. And then the child go ahead and do something at 9, 10 years old because he think it's like the video game. There it is.
Well, and then we think about it. You know, a child goes to school, they shoot another child. Well, where'd they get the gun? The parent is going to be held liable at the end of the day. You know, and so because we're not talking to our kids. We don't talk to our kids.
No,
we just don't, and it's easy not to, right? Because I can send you a text, hey, I'm gonna be home late, dinner's in the fridge. You know, we don't have to pick up that phone or what's going on. And I could send you a long text message of what's going on with me, but if we can't have that conversation face to face, where you're really feeling my emotion and what's going on, these are our children.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, these are our kids.
That's it.
Right? We are the adult. We are the authority.
Yeah.
I'm taking that phone and I'm gonna go through it. I don't care how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And why are you afraid of me to go in there?
Yeah, and that's why I tell my kids all the time. And they look at me like I'm crazy because they don't think I've been at age before. I'm like, all right, y'all think I'm old man or whatever. But I've been at age before. One thing is I always tell them, I said, look, if you come talk to me about it, I will not judge you because first and foremost, I love you. I said, we got to keep our open line of communication, father, son, father, daughter. I said, because of the love first. I said, and second of all, yeah, I might get a little upset, but it's going to be where it just depends on what it is if I get upset. If you come to me just asking me a question about something, okay. Or you want my opinion about something, okay. Because that's one thing about my father. He used to always tell me, so I give you my opinion about something, but it's going to be left up to you at the end of the day to make a decision. Yep. And I told him that. I said, regardless of what it is, I said, I don't care what it is, about sex, all about whatever it is, come talk to me. You might think I don't know, but I do know, and I've been there, and I will help you with it. I said, the main thing in this is keeping an open line of communication. I said, I know a lot of times they on their phones, like you said, video games, but yeah, that's virtual reality. You come talk to dad, and I'll let you know. I go talk to mom. Because
if they're not coming to us, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go Google. They're going to go to a stranger. They're going to go on Google. And especially when we talk about these younger kids and we're talking about sex, like it's a taboo thing to talk about sex with your children. No, we need to.
Thank you.
How are we going to keep our kids safe from, teen pregnancies, STDs that we can't get rid of? We talk about AIDS, like they go nowhere. It's still, these things still happen.
That's right.
But if we don't know, if we can't communicate with them, they're going to find somebody that does. And maybe that person that does might be Google. Something's wrong with you. You go Google something. The next thing you know, you're dying.
Yeah, because everybody said, well, but the daddy Google said,
right.
Google is not like me. I'm ready to tell you what's really
right.
going on.
I'm real big on having that open. But we have to let our children know it's a safe place, right? We can't judge them because we want them to come to us, but we can't judge them and we're not going to get mad, about
That's why I have
thing.
to tell them that before.
Absolutely. And that's where, like, seek rule number 5 of no blame, no shame. Don't feel ashamed about something that happens, or if you see something inappropriate, or you have a question about something. We are their parents. We are here to teach them.
That's right.
And I feel like we've lost that somewhere in transition. Transition. I don't know where it's going.
We have. We've talked about a lot here. We just keep going on and on about this, y'all, because we're having such a good time talking about this and talking about ECHO here, exploiting children help organizations. Thanks, Bubba, for all these comments. And I see what you're saying, and you guys are brave because I'm scared to talk to my daughter about sex. I found her Tampax and had a heart attack. You crazy. But you know what, Bubba? Let me just say this to you. The open line of communication, I know you're scared, but still talk to her, because as long as you're talking to her and making an attempt to talk to her, that's what matters, especially once or twice a week. Check that phone, man. And because if not, she be talking to somebody else, but check that phone, because even though they may pull back and have the negativity, they really want you to show the love.
They really do.
Kids, they really do. Even though they be like, but daddy, no, they really do. They just said they might say that, but they really do. So don't be scared to check that phone every now and then, because you never know. You know what I'm saying? She could be going through something. You never know. And kids are good at covering that up.
Very, very good.
I'm sure you deal with that a lot with kids.
A lot of times, they're like, the student, sometimes when these children disclose whatever is going on, and I'm not gonna say it's all child abuse. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about peer abuse, bullying. Sometimes they're just like, this area, I don't know. How do I handle this situation? I had one little girl tell me she broke up with her boyfriend, and she didn't know she did it appropriately. So she wanted to talk to me to make sure she did it in a healthy way.
Right.
Because another thing that we implemented at ECHO that's not on our brochure is I just piloted a healthy relationship curriculum, which is teaching children how to have healthy relationships, and not just an intimate healthy relationship. We're talking about with your peers, with your students, with your teachers, with your parents. Like, just all the way around. We need to teach them how to do this appropriately and in a healthy way.
Right.
And she just wanted to make sure she was doing it the right way. Yeah, I mean, you did it right by my book.
Thank you.
And I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any of these things. But I feel like you did all right.
She came to you and talked to you about. That's step one. Most important step is step one. Coming to talk to you about it. That's the beautiful part.
That's the hardest part.
And it's the hardest part. Step one.
Once you get that out, whatever the case may be, right? Obviously, this has been bothering you. Didn't have nobody talk to you. You talked to me about it. You just met me, right? So, but
you was a safe adult.
I can see the stress in these kids' bodies.
Right.
I can literally see them be like, I just felt good to get that off my chest.
Thank you. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all they need. And sometimes it's not a severe case. Sometimes I go back to the school and be like, hey, maybe we need some counseling for this. That's on them. Like we don't do counseling. I want to make sure we understand that.
Right.
We are we advocate.
That's an advocate. Right. You advocate. Right. Okay. No, we've had so much. Bubba's saying one more thing. I'm gonna read what you're saying, Bubba. I'm almost about to get out of here. I don't understand how I'm so embarrassed to her. I just be me. She's like, Dad, leave us alone. She's trying to be a rebel. I caught her with a vape and got on her ass and told her her lung, got on her ass and told her how her lungs would be. I think she's gonna be ratchet. Yeah. No, no, she's not.
We live in a little bit of a ratchet world, so I'm not mad that she's gonna be a little bit ratchet. Right. I feel like you gotta have a little bit of tough skin in 2023. But even having those conversations, even though they're uncomfortable, right? Who wants to talk to their teenager about sex?
Right.
Nobody. I don't. My kids are 8, 7, and 8. But I have a 17-year-old stepdaughter that we talk about everything. Right. And I've known her since she was 8 years old, her whole life, basically. Right. And this is the same place. First of all, I'm not going to go tell your mama. Right. I'm not going to go tell your dad. Exactly. This is between us. That's right. But I'm going to give you the real. Right. And sometimes kids need that.
They need that. And that's what they need. And you just have to open up that line of communication. Once you open up, like I said, step one is talking to you. That's big. Getting that step one, getting them to talk to you and open up. That's big. This has been great. It really has. And before I close this out, though, I just wanted to definitely before I close this out, I gotta let you put out there how people can get in contact with you if they want to be an advocate for exploited children help organization, and how they maybe if some child, you're a safe adult, just might want to talk to you. Even though I know you deal with a lot of kids, I know you got a lot on your plate. Maybe put your platform of whatever you're doing out there, Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is. Put it out there to the people because a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of parents don't know where to start.
Yeah. So. And you guys can come at our Facebook page, which is ECHO Exploited Children Help Organization. Anytime that you want to come and donate or anything like that, you can go directly to our website, which is www.echo-ky.org. And we have we're starting a new volunteer platform to where we're educating the adults on child sexual abuse. Okay. That's going to be huge in 2023. That's something that we're doing. Yes. We would like to get 10 authorized facilitators to come help us just spread the word about these babies.
That's what's up. Y'all go to ECHO on Facebook, ECHO ECHO, Exploiting Children. But also I want to talk about this to report abuse. This is the National Child Abuse Hotline, which, like I said, this ain't just for a parent to report. A child can report it. You got that cell phone and you feel like you're getting abused, you can report it. That's why I want to say that on this platform, because that's very important. And I know she deals with these type of young people all the time. The number is 1-800-422-4453. I'm going to say it again, 1-800-422-4453. And then the Kentucky Child Abuse Hotline is 1-877-597-2331, 1-877-597-2331. And then the National Human Trafficking, I'm gonna put them all out there for you because we gotta keep this line of communication. The National Human Trafficking is 1-888-373-7888. That's 1-888-373-7888. And this one here, the next one we're talking about, is really important because, like we just talking about the internet on phone thing, the online internet explosion. Here's the number for that: 1-800, which is called the Lost. It's called 1-800 the Lost, but it's 1-800-843-5678. 1-800-843-5678. And the last one, I got one more here. I know yesterday he's running off a lot of numbers, but all these numbers are important because
you can find all these if you go to our website.
If you go to ECHO, you'll find all of them if you go to ECHO. And I just want to run across in case you don't go to ECHO. 1-800-273-TALK. 1-800-273-8225. Hey, Bubba, I appreciate you. Says glad to hear y'all. It was glad that you chimed in and we got to have some fun communicating. And man, hopefully you learned something maybe with communicating with your daughter. It's been great. I want to say this too if I get her. Don't forget, what was that date on here? December the 18th, Angela Grimes Memorial Show here at 21st Germantown. Make sure you come support that at 5 o'clock, December 18th, 21st Germantown. Very great person to the 21st Germantown. Also, too, come out here to 21st Germantown for Love of Comedy 2, February 11th, 8 o'clock. Y'all be seeing that flyer soon. It's a BHLC production, Big L Light Skin Comedian production. Come see it. I got some people. I got Big Kenny, Never Been Skinny, hosting a lot of other great comedians. So come out and support that. Also, too, what was that? One more thing I wanted to talk about here. I think that's almost it. Also, too, I want to talk about, too, more than anything, enjoy your holidays. Happy holidays. Enjoy the moment. Every moment is vital in your life. Enjoy it. Laugh, smile, love, live, and laugh. It's important. You know, love, live, and laugh. Because with them three things, you can make that hurt. And I'm going to say to parents that have kids, please check their phones more often. Go with the technology. The technology will take you to where your kid is thinking and what they're doing. Trust me. Even if they over 18, you'd be surprised how they still, that phone is their lifeline. And I'm sure she knows it because she deals with it all the time. That phone is their lifeline. Look into that phone and it will tell you everything you need to know. You got anything else to say, Era?
No, just happy holidays and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's been great.
I'm so glad you came on here. You made the podcast a lot better. You get tired of seeing my ugly face. And y'all just keep supporting the BHLC podcast. Like I said, I'm on Spotify, Anchor, Pocket Cast, Google Podcasts, Anchor, all that good stuff. YouTube. Make sure if you're on YouTube right now, which is already subscribed, hit the like button. And on Facebook, Big L Light Skin Comic LB. I always like to leave with something positive. And since we were talking about kids, I come straight from the heart with these positive things at the end of my podcast. So since we're talking about kids, I'm going to say this. It's most important. Love your child like it was you when you was little. Remember that. Love your child like it was you when you was little. Remember that. I'll be back January the 8th, every second Saturday, 8 o'clock. I'm right here at 21st Germantown. January the 8th, 8 o'clock, the BHLC podcast. Look me up on YouTube, BHLC podcast. And please tune in and keep tuning in. I'm all about helping people. Thank you again, Era, for being here. And it's been real. And y'all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And for you always got them New Year's resolutions, whatever. But enjoy your New Year. I hope you have a happy 2023. I love y'all. BSLC podcast. I see y'all. I'm out. All right,